Oakley. Good evening, heroes and heroines, and welcome to Practising Programming in C, in which we're going to continue doing Cinera's config file parsing once I have queued up enough music to last us until 10 o'clock. So we've currently got 28 minutes to go. We're listening to Nick Drake's Pink Moon album from 1972. So that means that we need to get another 30 odd minutes of music. What is 30 odd minutes long? Got a feeling the soundtrack for the bridge might be 30 minutes. Unfortunately, you can't actually hear this because for copyright reasons I cannot do that. And also I don't think this is going to be a mostly speech-free mode, so let's just turn off that. So I think I probably will just talk for the rest of the stream. It's kind of interesting actually when you are streaming, you do sort of, I don't know, you just sort of feel like talking through what you're doing is the right thing to do. Kick inside is about 40 minutes. Chiastic slide is way up, about an hour, I guess. Oh, I think there's this thing, isn't there? Is this about half an hour? That gives 56 minutes. Yeah, that'll be fine. So what we're doing is, I think those guys are right. I need to go to my own channel over here. So config.c. So what we're doing is the include rules. And I think that is probably that's the only thing that we actually need to do. Scope tokens. How do you spell scope? Scope tokens with a C. I suspect that the include stuff is actually working okay. I think, yeah, I mean this is just right, isn't it? If I didn't do the inclusion stuff, call scope tokens and all that, just stay in this scope here. Else we would do whatever we need to do. So yeah, we need to expand this idea here. At the moment all we're doing is we are tokenizing the file, which is fine. So as an example, it's not going to show up in there, but if I get this file open, there's this guy up here. So all we're doing is we come into here. I think I might just expand this as well so I can see a bit more. We're going to come through parsing this. We've tokenized everything. We're now coming through the tokens and parsing these guys in with an understanding as to what the actual specifics of these things are. So we're going to come into this scope, see this include scope here. We see what the value of that scope is. It's Cinera included. We set that value to be our pair, right? And then what we do is we actually don't use that pair, do we? I guess technically, yeah, I mean, we don't even use the pair key. So what you could actually do is not bother with this pair and just pass here the value content, which we set in this expect token call. You could conceivably do that. And I believe that would be reasonable to do. Right, so you just come in, see this thing, and it's just like tokenize. Just stuff them all into here. Then, right, what you do is, having tokenized those into the token set, returning this pointer which we pass to scope tokens, we actually need a way to pass these rules, right, these allow rules. At the moment we do also have the idea of a deny rule, but I'm sort of wondering if we should just not bother. And further to that, I'm sort of wondering if essentially these things, well, actually, maybe they couldn't. I mean, what I was gonna say is change these guys to basically look like this, right? The idea being that when you do one of these, the only things that these contain are actual allow rules, if you know what I mean. Like, so there's no such thing as a deny rule. So everything is an allow rule. And you just sort of specify all the things just like this. Because if you think about it, once we've actually got these guys in, we're going to have to parse this thing anyway. Right, we're going to have to go into, once we've actually parsed in these allows, we're going to have to parse out of those actual things what the actual rule is, right? And in this case, it's, you could allow project initialization, and you can allow default medium initialization within projects. But you can't, for example, you don't allow unit initialization within projects. I think that's just a kind of a bit of an open question, and maybe it doesn't particularly matter too much. It's kind of a syntactical kind of question, I suppose. But what we do need at least is the idea of coming into this thing and parsing out the rules. Passing out the rules and just producing just a little representation of these rules, right? So I think what it would be is, all we're doing is we're pushing on to these guys, so we've got the idea of init type specs, right? Am I in the wrong file? Yeah. So init type specs, we've got the idea of type specs here. Now the root type can contain where is it? Project. Oh, it's a scope, isn't it? So it can contain an ident project, which we understand as being a scope, and then it can contain. Well, it can contain all of these, right? But in the case of this, it's like it can contain a project, which is a scope. It can contain a person, which is a scope, and it can contain a medium, which is also a scope. So what I'm kind of suggesting is, I mean, maybe we actually need a way to actually specify these guys as a pair. Maybe that's what we actually need to be doing. So whenever you see a person, you understand that to be a scope. Whenever you see default medium, you understand that to be a string, isn't it? Where's that? Yeah, you understand that to be a string. Right, and that's just consistent between all the places that we actually talk about fields. So let's do that. Let's just marry those up, and then we're done. So essentially what I'm saying is, this push type spec field call function is going to stop taking the config field type. It'll instead only take the config identifier, and we will be looking up into our array of config identifiers to see what the type is, essentially. So here we go. Config field type. Config field identifier. Yeah. So yeah, what we're talking about here is making an array. It's essentially making one of these guys, isn't it? Car config identifier strings. But instead of that, it's actually, I don't know, it's kind of a config identifier, but we do need all this, don't we? Config identifier. So we're talking about a type field. Yeah, I mean, it's almost this, actually, isn't it? It's almost actually an array of config type fields, isn't it? Because this thing contains the ID and the type. It says whether it's a singleton, and it says whether we can set it locally. Look at this. Config field type and config type field. That's prone to inversion. Are these always the same? They're not always the same, are they? Config type space. I think at the very least, right, we need to struct up the ID and the type. And then the config type field itself is going to contain one of those structs. And the singleton, I mean, it's set locally, it definitely has to be separate. Well, actually, no, that doesn't. In fact, it's set locally specifically doesn't need to be set locally. And singleton. What is this also? I think that true at the end is, does it absorb, isn't it? Oh no, it's just, that's singleton. Oh no, it's the push type spec, isn't it? Push type spec, is it absorbable? Yeah, it's permeable. So that determines that. Yeah, I mean, maybe you just straight up make an array of these config type fields. Right, so that just links up the IDs with their types. We always know, I think everything, wherever something is used, if it's a singleton somewhere, it's going to be a singleton everywhere. Could there be any downsides to any of this? So we copied the project directly up to there, didn't we? And we didn't amend, we didn't edit any of the singleton settings. So that could conceivably come straight out of whatever thing we're pushing on. I don't include is a scope. A person can contain multiple supports. Yeah. Same again, isn't it? So a person, yeah, I didn't support false. The project is, yeah, I know that's always false. It's not, never a singleton. Ident person. I don't think anything else can contain a person, can it? Well, this itself is an actual person, but that doesn't matter. When you push a type spec on, that is a separate idea. It doesn't talk about the idea of something being a singleton or not. That's set it within these guys. And a medium is never a singleton either, I don't believe. Not include. So yeah, I'm inclined to actually make an array of these config type specs and just globally spec them all out. I suppose actually maybe rather than doing it globally, I can initialize them within the config thingamajig. Because if you think about what's eventually going to happen, you're going to eventually have a thing that's just like config. Right, it's going to be essentially that. And then this thing in turn calls init type, initializes type specs, gets the tokens. I mean, it'll probably also have to say it'll need to have a default like config file, which can also be set using a command line argument. But we're going to have this sort of an idea. Probably, aren't we? Bearing in mind that we're going to have multiple configs. So in the sense that we're going to have the configs of multiple projects, we're going to have to be able to switch between them. So yeah, I'm not sure how that's going to actually play out. But yeah, this is simply a question of making this array global or making it in the get config function. So for now, let's make it in here. So make it in here and pass it in to whoever needs it. Well, this is really not a big decision. So I don't know. Let's do it globally and make a to-do. I know globals are not necessarily appropriate all the time, but let's just do that because we need to get something going. So what was it? A config type field. Yeah, so we're talking about making an array of these. Sorry, an array of config type specs. No. It is an array of config type fields. So we're going to have config identifier, numbers of them. So yeah. So we want ident null. The type should be, what is a null type? What is the type of the null guy? Yes, it's not actually, it doesn't matter whether it's this. I guess in some ways you could sort of say it's a scope, although it doesn't matter because that ain't going to be used. You know what we're talking about here, just to reiterate, is that we're talking about making an array that uses, that's basically predicated on these values here, this third field that this function takes, and we're basically, for each of these, we're just setting in the actual array this. Yeah, and in fact, since that's the case, you know, and that's the only thing that we need it for. Yeah, it shouldn't matter. For null, we could even just don't bother to set that thing, I think. And that should just be fine. I think it just pad out the space that we actually need. So, I guess let's take them all up and just see, you know, just use these for reference. Where's best to put these? So, I don't know, I'm going to try just doing null for now. Allow is a string. Yeah. Annotator is a string too. That's a string, that's a string, a string, a string, that's a string, 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 string all is kind of a boolean, but we don't have that type. Include is a scope. Let's just leave that. JSPath. Log level is a number. Medium is a scope, isn't it? I don't know. Name is definitely a string. Numbering scheme is a string. Owner, person. Project is a scope. Query string is a string. Stream platform is a string. No, support is a scope. Unit is a string. Update interval. Oh, actually, I beg your pardon. I said something up here. Log level was a string. It was a number. It wasn't. The update interval is the thing that's a number. Okay. Then this is a number. And what have we missed out? Support is a scope. Project is a scope. Medium is definitely a scope, isn't it? Yeah. Well, it's only that we're actually talking about. Includes a scope. So let's see if that actually builds. If that's how you actually, if that's the actual syntax that you need. And in some ways, as I was saying, that should be permitted. Right. So now hopefully we have the ability to relieve that guy of taking the type, don't we? The field type. Relieve it of taking it and instead looking up into this config type field to determine what that the type of that person is. So let's do that. Yeah. So it's this type here. So it just takes the ID. Right. So it's going to be what I called it? Of course it's not. Config type fields. Jesus. Right. I mean, I guess technically we could also get this out of the thing as well. Bit of a tautology because we simply duplicated that whole enum down. But I guess for the sake of symmetry, I mean, is that going to gain us anything? Because it has to index into that array. It's a global array. It's just got to index. It's indexing into an array is just quick, isn't it? So there's no problem with doing that. So wherever we see push type spec field, all we're doing is we're saying go to the, in fact I'm going to macroize this guy, macroize the shit out of this. So this is going to be removing a thing. Let's go to the start of the line, go to the first comma, delete to the next comma, move down the line, end macro. Magic. See if it runs. It doesn't run. That's interesting. Really? So where else is that being used? Scope tokens. Line 1889 is set locally is equal to true. So what's it saying? It doesn't like the right of size 8. It's saying the field is set locally, and the field is so that is located 64 bytes inside of 864 byte region. We've got something going on. So this line 1949 is just our call to scope tokens, isn't it? Yeah, that's that there. Init the type specs. Yeah, that was this dude I've just literally done. I wonder if I need to pad out that. Yeah, let's just try that actually. Oops. No, it wasn't that to do with that. It's set locally. Um, and again, let me just double check. So the ident null. Where is that? So this is here, right? Object identifiers. And this guy's referring to this thing up here. So scope tokens 1889. Is it locally? Yeah, right. So when we get this field, apparently that should only be set if we've got the field, shouldn't it? Yeah. Field is in spec. Spec field. So the spec is a type spec. So that's getting those guys out of there. So yeah, I assume it's just I'm initializing these guys incorrectly. So let's go through that. Let's see how they get initialized. Let's just walk through initialize type specs. So we didn't change that at all. So that should be fine, shouldn't it? So that's set to null. It's not permeable. Field count is 0. I mean, yeah, that is okay, actually, isn't it? Yeah, that's fine, because that's the actual root spec which we wanted to be talking about. So then we're going to push a type spec field onto the root. We're passing the root, and we're passing the ident title list end, and we're saying that it is thingamajig. Let's just print out the ident title list end. Ah, okay, fine. I suppose maybe the ID is getting set incorrectly. It could be that, couldn't it? It's saying the ID. But what does it think the ID is? It thinks the ID is ident title list ends, which it is, right? So we're fitting the type spec field. So that's going to give us enough space for one of these guys. Set the type. So that's going to be, so it's saying it's an FT string. I assume this is going to be nonsense, or, yeah, that is nonsense. So we go over this line, and now it's set to ident title list, and so that is exactly what I'd expect. FT string, ident list title end, so that seems to be correct. Singleton will be set from whatever it was set to. And then it's set locally will be set to false. So, I mean, I assume that that's kind of correct. I mean, it's a bit sketchy because the only thing I've changed is actually the push type spec field. Right. I guess we could just continue until it crashes and see where we are. Tell you what, let's undo what I've just done. Let's roll back 40 minutes or so, and just see if we actually get this crash already. Yeah, we don't. just in having this thing here. Causes that to die. I suppose I should actually just step through a few of those initializations actually, just to see what actually happens. It's possible actually that I've failed to set one of these right, actually, isn't it? That could simply be the problem. And also, we don't actually know which one it's dying on, do we? Scope tokens. Yeah, I mean, that could just be the problem, couldn't it? It might just have used the wrong thing in one of these. So let's make the scope tokens print out the field. Or I guess, yeah, let's make it print out the field first. Do we have this? Print pair. When we were looking for this the other day, we were like, can you just print as the field? Is it just print type spec? Is that what it is? What is this returning? It's a config type field. That's the ID type. So there's the initialization of this. There's the config type spec containing those fields. And that enum should still be doing the right thing. Right, this enum is the guy that's actually where people are getting their thing from. So yeah, let's go into scope tokens, where we want to print the field. Let's just print it. So so a config type field contains these guys, and we just want to say, well, actually, it's this, isn't it? It's so the ID, we have strings for those, don't we? Where are we getting the config identifier? These guys up here. Config identifier strings. Oh, dude, did I write it without the A? Yeah, I did, without the I. Config identifier. And we've got the typed as well, have we not? Yeah, field type names. Yeah, this is fine because it's a config type field that we're like drawing out, wasn't it? Singleton. So this is going to be like, I mean, this is feeling kind of familiar. I think maybe I could do with using the print type specs function called print field. I think that's what it would be. So I've probably actually got this this essential routine somewhere. Right. So the problem is on the icon. Let me just have a quick gander at that print type specs. Typical print type spec. Yeah, it's what is it? That's set type spec. Yeah, right. It's essentially this information here. So I suppose where's that print? Where is that thing? And just make this do that. Right. So where it says this, we want to be saying that. And then let's stick a print field. Just a new line, isn't it? Oh, I see. So it's that's unfortunate. So basically, it's printing out that, and then it's printing out this. I see. Let's just change that. I mean, in some ways, you could maybe sort of pass this an indentation, so it kind of indents it a bit, if you want, if you care, but I won't bother doing that. So here we go. We're coming into the support. So the config identifier strings. I guess we could sort of say maybe we could colorize this. Can I do that actually? I don't think I can. What we're printing out fields, aren't we? Printing out type specs. Let's go for green fields. So let's see. It's the support. I mean, it's not. It's actually the type spec, isn't it? So type spec. Type spec. Cyan for spec. Okay. So that guy is a print type spec field. And then so basically what's happening there is, I suppose actually at the end of this we could do with having that new line, actually. Just so we can delimit this printout from this printout. Okay. The top two printouts from this thing here. So we're getting a read memory access in print field itself. Ah, right. So it doesn't like something. It's something to do with the field. So on line 142, I mean, I'm probably going to have to separate these guys out. Give me a fighting chance of seeing which one we're talking about. 1146 it doesn't like, so it's this one. It doesn't like the is set locally. Why would that be exactly? When we push the field on, so this gets to see, right? It gets to see that it's unset. We're in the URL, icon URL, so it's within the support. Let's just print out the whole thing where we are. What is this? Scope tree? Well, actually, I should probably do it here. So at this point, we've passed in everything down to the URL. Let's put patron. Ah, right. Something and nothing. Right, I see. So print field. So what's that being sent? Now, I sort of screwed up slightly. I mean, evidently have. Because what we're getting here, if we do a print token, or print, yeah, we can do print current token, because we haven't moved past it. Oh. What? Doesn't it like? Color codes. Oh, right. Yeah, I don't give a shit. Print current token. Why do I need... Why do I care about that? So, yeah, actually let's make it a bit... make something we can actually discern. Let's make it cyan bold. So we've been past the something identifier, which doesn't exist. So we should find... Well, actually, yeah. Can't be doing that. So it's crashing in the current field in spec, isn't it? Isn't it? It's in the right. In scope tokens, it's trying to set. So it's on line. It's trying to set that. That might not be appropriate for ident include, apparently. So this time we're actually getting further on. So we're getting stuck at here. It's crashing there because it wasn't finding the field. And we're just trying to print the field. but we're now getting further on through the support, getting through the support PayPal. Into the includes, and then it's a person within the include. It sort of smacks a bit of push scope not really working right. Or the set type spec. Where's Fields getting it from? It should be getting it from the current parent's type spec, shouldn't it? Yeah. Let's step through current field is in spec. Let's jump into this line. I think also, so what we need to do is let's run until we hit that include and we start to include. And the second time through, let's jump into this line here, see what's going on. I mean, it's essentially this call. And then we wanted to step into here. So let's see what we've got. Print the spec. Can I just dereference it like that? I can. Perfect. So we were past the ident null spec, which contains 36 fields. This token is this. So I think we need to continue, don't we? Is that right? We need to get a bit further through, I think. T is the tokens. I suppose what I actually want to be looking at is the token of the current index. Okay, so it's the person. So this is what I need to be looking at. So we wanted to see if a person is in this type spec, don't we? We've just looked at the actual spec itself is this thing. So it's the null person. It's not permeable. It has 36 fields, and it's here. Well, actually, it's got 36. Let's just look at, what was it? 30? Was it 36? Yeah. So that's an ident unit FT string. Let's see if we can just get through this function actually. Well, let's see if we get to that. Well, actually, and also let's just try and break there if we actually get there. So we found the ident person. It is apparently a string, which is correct. So we've evidently initialized that type, that field correctly. It's not a singleton, which is correct. It's not set locally, which, yeah, fine, I believe you. So we've got the field. Print the field. So it wasn't this time through that actually failed. So let's continue. Error expected token. Ah. Oh. Oh shit, right. I think. So we're expecting a semicolon. We haven't got one. Let's step into this actually. Maybe we are actually okay. Because we're now operating on the other tokens. So this whole thing is nulled out. There's no tokens in here. That seems a bit suspect, doesn't it? Maybe it's not, it's just printing out wrong. Yeah, well, hang on, what was I trying to print out? I was trying to print out T. Yeah, that was bogus actually. I should have been printing out this, shouldn't I? Yeah, that's what I was actually wanting to see. So we're currently on. Yeah, okay. So it's skipped back. So I think we're okay actually. We are going to depart this comment, depart the assignment correctly. Now that we've stepped out, we're now looking at the ident includes ft scope. How we're going to set. Now you've got this. This may not be appropriate for the ident include. And it was that was dying on. So we can see that the field is there. It is a scope. It's probably not set. Parent type spec. I'll tell you what, just as a bit of a hack, although it does address that note, let's just change it so that rather than setting field is set locally down there, we set it within these guys. So we just go piecemeal through everything and just sort of say, like, Just, you know, you set that thing there. I'm not convinced that will solve the problem because I don't know. Well, what is that actually saying again? It's saying it's a write of size 8. So yeah, it's trying to write the boolean. Is set locally into the field. But it reckons it's freed it. Why could that have been freed? Right, we set it here. And this is only a pointer. So it's like, what we're talking about is a parent's type spec. So we're getting it out of the parent's type spec. So we've gone into this scope here, but actually in this interior call to scope tokens, we've passed it the parent. So the parent is at this point going to be the root scope. So then we come back through. And we're seeing if the support is a field within the root scope, the type spec of the root scope, aren't we? Sorry, it was the person, wasn't it? We're seeing if the person is a field within the root scope. Determined that they were, didn't we? And then we came through. And then having done, is that correct actually? Sorry, no, we wanted to come into here. We came into the scope, didn't we? IDP field is ID include. So we popped that back out. Let's just try what I was suggesting. I might have to step through that again actually, just to try and narrow down exactly what's going on. So rather than doing this here, we're going to go through all of the little places where we set something and just say that we've set it. So yeah, if it's a bear, we do this stuff, push for boom. If it's a string, same thing. You know, even if we reassign a value, that means that we've set it locally. If it's a number, same deal. If it's a scope, then we're going to ignore the include. So we're not going to bother about saying that that has been added, and instead only care about this case here, and then that should be everyone. Yeah. Now, if this works, then I don't yet understand why. I think I'll have to try and figure it out. So it didn't fail on there this time, because I was doing a write memory access. It's now failing in the current fields in spec. Oh shit, hang on a second. Is the set thingamajig not working? What's it trying to read from? The Zero page. Current field is in spec. let's just quickly look at where that's happening. So that's there. It's trying to read from the spec field count, I presume. I mean, that's the only thing it's reading, isn't it? Oops. Yeah, set type spec. It's been passed to type spec in. Spec field count. So I'm kind of wondering if just setting the type spec isn't working correctly. That sets it on the parent. I wonder why it's not working now, but it was apparently working earlier. One thing I will say, well, no, actually, because the field, this spec field ID, this is getting the thing from where we initialized it, and the type, right? This should be getting that from the actual type spec, right? Where we initialized it. I suppose we could just, well, I mean, it's not going to help really, is it? Stepping into that, I don't think. Because all we're going to see is that we die on this. I mean, it's been past the tokens. We've been past the spec. I mean, when do we hit that? So we've got support icon. So we've got the include here. Then within the include we've got a person. Well, actually, maybe that's not talking about this include, actually. Where's he getting the project from? Or to put it another way, I've seen the person. There is a project down here. Now, what is this? What is this expected token? Right. We need to investigate that, but we also can't have this. We can't have it crashing anyway. Yeah, it just seems like something is a bit busted with the iteration through the file somehow, through the tokens. The music has long since stopped, by the way. So I think I might take a quick break, get a sandwich, and then continue. Because yeah, I'm at a bit of a loss here. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go and get some food, quick sandwich, and then let's continue. It's possible that something will divinely inspire me while eating, but it's entirely possible that won't happen either. in which case we just have to work through it. So thank you very much, heroes and heroines, for watching, and we'll catch up in a bit. Farewell for now.